There are no pockets on my outfit. I have nowhere to hide a gun. Those are the witness's own words on the matter. Ah, that's ridiculous. If only I was allowed to lift up her dress, I could prove it. But that would get you in trouble for something else. I mean, even if it did give you the decisive evidence you need to prove that you weren't a murderer, you'd still be in trouble for something completely different. Hey guys, Zack here, and welcome. Hey guys, Zack here, and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. So in the last episode, we started the first game. So long story short, our main character Yonosuke Naruhodo got convicted, is being tried for murder. He hasn't been convicted, and he probably won't, be considering how the story goes. But he's being tried for murder because there was somebody there that a lot of people were told not to say was there, and now she's going to be on as a witness. So we're going to be talking to a woman who supposedly murdered the guy that Naruhodo is being accused of murdering. So, but in any case, we're going to keep going on. So yeah, let's just get into it. All right, in any case, 22nd November, 11:38 a.m., Supreme Court of Judicature, defendant's antechamber. Antechamber 5. Such old wordy English, and I kind of love it. I get that's probably the point, considering what kind of game this is, but it's very old English. I love it. In any case, excellent work, Ryunosuke. That was superb. My heart was in my mouth the entire time. It was almost unbelievable. I mean, looking at you in there. You were drenched in sweat, your eyes popping, your knees knocking, and you were grinding your teeth. It was a grim sight, but before I knew it, you'd started finding inconsistencies in the testimonies. I think you might have a natural talent for being a lawyer, as do all of his descendants. Again, Phoenix Wright winds up becoming a defense attorney. I mean, that's not canonically. That's not the reason why he becomes a defense attorney. It's because he was accused of stealing Edgeworth's lunch money, and nobody had nobody had any proof, which is why. And then Edgeworth came in to defend him, which is why he became a defense attorney. But I would be surprised if he also heard legends about his grandfather and decided to go become a defense attorney based on that. I wouldn't be completely 100% surprised if that was indeed the case. In case, I think you might have a natural talent for being a lawyer. Forget it. It's terrifying. If I get through this, I don't ever want to see the inside of a courtroom again. Oh, I have my doubts about that. You're probably going to several times. Ha 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 ha. Anyway, it looks like we've exposed your phantom lady at last. Miss Jeziel Brett, a student from Great Britain. Is she? That's what I was trying to tell everybody from the start. Dr. Wilson wasn't alone. There was a young woman with him, like I've been saying all along. And yet nobody believed you. Yes, you have, haven't you? I might not be overly confident in the courtroom, but my powers of observation are one thing I am sure of. Yes, I can see that. So, about this young gentlewoman. Thanks to our detective friend, she was hastily escorted away from the scene, it seems. Did you see what happened with that? No, I didn't see any of it. I was just on my way out of the restaurant myself, then on the floor next to Dr. Wilson's table. I noticed there was a gun lying on the floor, and just after I bent down and picked it up, bang! I didn't have time to think about where the sound of the gunshot had come from. The waiter ran over to me looking as white as a sheet, and he bundled me in some sort of small pantry next to the kitchen. Fast thinking by the detective, he apprehended his suspect without a moment's delay. Yes, and because I was shut in the pantry, I have no idea what happened outside in the dining area. That's problematic. Ah, there you are. Well done, both of you. Professor Mikatoba. Well, it seems I was right. The pair of you make an outstanding team. You've exceeded my expectations, I have to say. Yes, it seems you planned this from the start. You arranged things so that I wouldn't be able to act as a lawyer in this trial. Our modern country is still in its infancy. Our justice system, even more so. Which is why I firmly believe that we need to send our brightest young stars overseas to learn all they can. I wanted to avoid a situation that may have resulted in your study tour to Great Britain being cancelled. Well, it makes no difference. Lawyer or otherwise, if I'm the kind of man who can't help his best friend avert the worst crisis of his life, I shouldn't waste everyone's time by going to study overseas anyway. Alright. What? What are you saying, Cosma? I was just checking my phone. So that's your stance. I was afraid you feel that way. Cosma? Well then, it looks like it all comes down to you, young man. To me? Yes, you need to prove your innocence and uncover what really took place in that restaurant. I must say, I very much want to know the truth. After all, I have a personal connection to this case. Alright. Come to think of it, he said the same thing earlier this morning, didn't he? If you don't mind me asking, Professor, did you know the victim? Yes, I did. And you're probably aware Dr. John H. Wilson was a visiting professor at UMI. Okay. And it was I who invited him. Oh, I see. I didn't know that before. Anyway, you're about to go into battle. The victim was a university professor from Great Britain, and a well-known one at that. Naturally, our government is looking to identify and punish the culprit as quickly as possible. But let's not forget who we're going up against. The gentlewoman whose involvement in our police bureau went to extraordinary lengths to hide. Yes, and I'm sure the prosecution will be using every tool at their disposal to quash your case. But I've no doubt that your pair will put up a good fight, right to the last. Yeah, but it's Winston Payne's ancestor. He isn't particularly threatening. I think I'll be fine. Best of luck. Thank you. Now then. I need you to run an errand at the university at once. There's something I think we may need. Of course. Good luck, Kazuma-sama. Not sure who that is. Defendant Naruhodo! Court recess is over. Please make your way back inside the courtroom at once. It's time. Let's get back to it, partner. Let's go in there and deal a decisive blow. Before those old fossils know what hit them. Kazuma? Also, why does he have a sword? What? Thank you. Really. Why does he have a... I'm interested. What for? Well, if you hadn't said you believed me, then I'm fairly sure I've already been found guilty by now. Look, I have faith in you. As a lawyer, and as a friend. Coming from you, that means a lot. Especially from a legal standpoint. Also, if I'm found guilty in this trial, he's really going to give up on his dream of studying abroad. That's the kind of true friend he is. So this isn't just my battle anymore. Whoever we're up against, we absolutely cannot afford to lose. Also, question? Something I'm curious about is why does Kazuma have a sword? I'm pretty sure it's a defense attorney thing because because on the official box art, Ryunosuke is shown having one as well. In the official art, he's shown having one as well, and that's after he gains his officially becomes a defense attorney. So is that just a defense attorney thing where they're allowed to carry a sword in a court? Because that's really weird, and I want to know why that is. Alright then. I'll save the thank yous for after the trial. You can treat me for one of those sukiyaki meals I like from Yumai Cafe at University Street. Well, an extra large portion, of course. Alright, let's do this then. Let's solve this case. I'm very frantically checking my phone. November 22nd, 12:09 p.m. Supreme Court of Judicature, courtroom number 2. Also, my charger fell out because I was checking my phone. I'm waiting for a text to come through, so I'm kind of paying attention to my phone as well as the game. In any case, time to play defense attorney again. The court hereby resumes the trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Prosecution Aochi, have you managed to subpoena the witness? Yes, Your Excellency, against all odds. And thanks to a certain young stripling, the prosecution is now under rather painful scrutiny from the government. Sorry. Let the government scrutinize. That's their job. It's nothing to worry about. It's highly unlikely that the good relations we forged with Great Britain will emerge from this trial unscathed. Will you still think it's nothing to worry about when the new treaty breaks down in our nation founders? Again, terribly sorry. If the friendship between our nations is really so fragile, then the treaty isn't worth the paper it's written on. You really have nothing to worry about, Ryunosuke. What do you mean? A secret trial, anxiety over some foreign government's opinions, a bungled investigation, missing witnesses. Is this what our nation's justice system is? Is this the Supreme Court of Japan or of England? Shut up, you jumped up rookie boy. You and your friend know nothing of the situation our nation finds itself in. By aligning ourselves with the great world power, we'll become strong. Diplomacy has never been more critical. Steady political maneuvers is what will secure our futures. If you say so. I won't deny that I'm no expert. I'm just a student. And one who could arguably study harder too. But standing here now in our Supreme Court, there is one thing that I feel very strongly. A country that fails to uphold the truth in the justice system is a country with no future at all. Alright, that was very well said. Well said, Ryunosuke, despite the wide-eyed look of terror. You little brats! Thank you, Counsel. This court is the pinnacle of our nation's justice system, and exists solely for the pursuance of truth. With that in mind, this trial will now resume with the next witness taking the stand. The visiting student from Great Britain, Miss Giselle Brett. Yes. Your Excellency! He's very apologetic. Again, that's the entire Japanese thing. Oh, hello. She's very fancy looking. Alright. Well, what a delight it is to welcome such a fine gentlewoman to Japan, and from such a distant land. Tea! Someone bring English tea! In England, no discussions take place without tea. Is that true? No idea. So, ahem. Could we possibly trouble you to state your name and occupation for the court? Of course. My name is Satoru Hosonaga. I have been working undercover as the head waiter at the La Carnival, but my true... Yes, we know all about you already. Inspector Hosonaga, where are your manners? England is always ladies first. Is that true? No idea. This is funny as hell. More importantly, a little earlier today you said something to me. You said your powers of observation are the one thing you're sure of. Oh yes, I think I did, didn't I? Yet your description for this amazing sight was simply a woman. Sorry, Ryunosuke, but powers of observation aside, your powers of description are sorely lacking. Guilty. So, dear lady, once again, if we may trouble you for your name and occupation, please. Hello? And I can't understand a word she's saying. Okay, neither can Ouchie. I'm terribly sorry, dear lady, but, what? Oh, okay. He has to translate for her. The lady says her name is Giselle Brett. She comes from London, England. She's a visiting research student, currently enrolled in Yuma University's medical faculty. Oh my! What a rare treat to hear the dulcet tones of the delightful language of the British people. I'm afraid I don't understand a word you said, but it was as beautiful as a hummingbird's song. As far as I can tell, the detective is translating her words faithfully enough. Yes, I agree. Haha, you'll obviously do fine in England, Kazuma. Her English doesn't rattle you at all, does it? Nor you. You've clearly been paying attention in your English classes, Ryunosuke. Okay, so she's speaking English, but because we're Japanese, we can't actually understand what she's saying. The court thanks the beautiful lady for taking the stand. Now, if we may trouble you to confirm something, Miss Brett. 3 days ago, at a restaurant called La Carnival, a grim murder took place. The court has been led to believe that you were dining there with the victim, Dr. Wilson, at the time. Is that correct? Okay. She says, yes. This could take some time. So even though she's studying here in Japan, she can't speak any Japanese? That is very strange, isn't it? She'd like to apologize for disappearing from the scene. She says that she was due to make a presentation at the university, so she had to leave immediately. Interesting. When you're the one who engineered her escape, I was just following special orders from the Bureau. Well now, dear lady, who would you be so kind as to cast your eyes over this photographic print? Seeing as you were so unfortunately present at the scene of the crime, could it be that your resplendent eyes caught sight of the wicked perpetrator, perhaps? Alright, this is going to be very interesting. Apparently, it was a very frightening and sorrowful sight. Do you mean to say... Yes, it would appear the lady did witness the crime. The very moment when the accused, standing right there in this courtroom, shot the victim in cold blood. Well, that took a turn. Order in court. Did you hear that, Your Excellency? Here we have an absolutely conclusive witness statement. Well, it looks like it's clear now. Clear who our real enemy is. Alright, so, unfortunately, I will have to ask you to formally testify, if you please. Kindly tell the court the exact nature of this frightening and sorrowful sight you described. Beep, 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 beep. Nobody can actually fully understand her. This is gonna be a long and drawn-out process, isn't it? She can't actually speak Japanese. A frightening and sorrowful sight. I had arranged to meet for a slightly late luncheon with Dr. Wilson that day. The professor was unable to eat, so I ordered for myself only a beefsteak. Alright. After a while, the accused came over to greet the professor, and they got into a fierce argument. That didn't happen. Then, not long afterwards, the accused took the professor's gun and shot him right before my eyes. Okay. This is interesting. I don't carry a gun myself, so obviously I couldn't have been the culprit. Okay, this is going to be very interesting to cross-examine. This is a condemning testimony indeed. No, I didn't have any kind of argument with the professor at all. Quiet, you filthy wretch. Look at you, you black-hearted blackguard. And look at this snow-white angel. I'm sure even a dark-minded scoundrel like you can imagine whose words the court is going to believe. You're still making the same mistakes, Ryunosuke. You mustn't blurt out when you're goaded like that. That's a lesson you need to learn. But he's so annoying. Fair point. He's a pain. He's annoying. That's what they do. Of course, I was at the scene as well. I took statements from this lady and the 2 witnesses who testified before and reported back to the Bureau. It was decided that Miss Brett was not involved, so I let her go. The testimonies of the last 2 witnesses were completely worthless, however. Well, even so, on the day in question, the lady was wearing the same outfit as she is today. As you can see, there's nowhere about her person where she could conceal a firearm. Except, I would think she could hide a gun almost anywhere in that outfit if she wanted to. Specifically the hat. The hat looks very bulky and looks like it could hide something. Unless and until the precise location where the witnesses have hidden a weapon can be shown, that is moot. There are no pockets on my outfit. I have nowhere to hide a gun. Those are the witness's own words on the matter. Ah, that's ridiculous. If only I was allowed to lift up her dress, I could prove it. But that would get you in trouble for something else. I mean, even if it did give you the decisive evidence you need to prove that you weren't a murderer, you'd still be in trouble for something completely different. Don't think about doing anything rash, Ryunosuke. But I didn't fire the gun I picked up. There must have been another gun in there that day. You're right about that, which means this lady was hiding a gun somewhere. Yes, that's what we have to prove now. And to do so, we will need to pull her testimony apart. Alright, she's smiling. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. Oh, yes, Your Excellency. Okay, time to pull her testimony to pieces. Frightening a sorrowful sight. I had arranged for me to slight luncheon with Dr. Wilson that day. What do I have? Okay, that actually... I'm gonna just press... hold on. Nothing. Okay. Alright, I managed to meet with for a slightly late luncheon with Dr. Wilson that day. Let's just press everything. Make sure. After 2 p.m., in fact, that's really quite a late lunch, isn't it? You don't keep up with the latest fashions from Britain, do you? Late luncheons are en vogue, isn't that right? No. A decisive English no has quite a sting to it. The gentleman is currently working in the victim's research laboratory, it seems. So it was apparently a daily occurrence that they would lunch together. But on the day in question, the victim had another appointment at the clinic first. Yes, which we can prove from the medical report card that was submitted as evidence earlier. That's right. Miss Brett and the victim went to lunch following the victim's treatment, which was why it was so late. Yes, that all makes sense. Perfect sense. Such wonderful logic. What a shining example of English intelligence this fine gentlewoman is. So, you both arrived at the restaurant. What happened next? Alright. Yes! He was unable to eat, you say? And that was because he just had a tooth removed at the Hada Clinic, correct? That's correct. That's right. You're supposed to actually check with the witness before answering. Was Miss Brett aware of that fact? It seems so, yes. She'd heard from the professor was to have some dental treatment. So that would mean that it was you who ate the steak pictured here. Is that right, Miss Brett? That's right, yes. The print you have there shows the table exactly as it was left after the horrifying events. Exactly as it was left? Dear me, what a harrowing experience. To have traveled to a distant land on the far side of the world and be embroiled in such a tragic incident. Have no fear, my dear lady. I swear I will crush the evil fiend that has subjected you to this terrible plight. So, the victim, Dr. Wilson, had nothing to eat or drink at all? That's right. Other than some carbonated water. Just water. Yes, the professor was unable to eat, but he had been given permission to drink water. So it appears that the diners toasted their lunch with a glass of water each. They each raised a glass of carbonated water. What do you think, Ryunosuke, about the witness's last statement? Wait a minute. Court record. Court record. Hold on. This is exactly as it was left? There's only one glass there. Where's the other glass? It's very meaningful. Also, something I noticed. That last statement of yours, Miss Brett, is a profound bearing on this case. Also, something I noticed while editing the last one. Ryunosuke, when Ryunosuke goes to slam the table, this is just a little joke with the series itself, but he's not exactly, like, obviously the joke with the series is that the defense attorneys will just slam their hands on the table when they go to make their point. Ryunosuke isn't particularly confident with himself, so he just kind of doesn't give enough oomph. And it just makes this little, and that's why you just hear this dull thud occasionally. Sometimes he just forgets to do that. It's just something funny I thought I would bring up for this LP, but yeah, that's just something I noticed. Carry on. Well, well, how fascinating. Do tell us, what is this profound bearing? Hmm? The significance of the statement will become apparent when the time is right. The defense calls for the witness' last statement to be formally added to the testimony. Well, sidestep, counsel. Very well. Miss Brett, kindly repeat what you just said to be added to your official testimony. Gladly, she said. That was brilliant, Kazuma. I'm going to remember that one. Which one? The significance will become apparent when the time is right. I could really use that phrase. I'd hope there are some more useful tips you're picking up from this experience than that, Ryunosuke. Okay. I ordered a beefsteak for myself, and the professor and I said cheers over a glass of carbonated water. Alright. After a while, the accused came over to greet the professor, and they got into a fierce argument. Let's continue to press these statements until we can find more stuff. I never got into an argument with the professor. All I did when I noticed him was go over and say hello. Please, don't get angry with me. No, I wasn't directing that retort at you. It was meant for the lady next to you. But anyway, as I said, I did not argue with that professor. I'm afraid your words are in vain. Sorry? Miss Brett does not appear to speak Japanese. No, of course not. Japanese is such a cumbersome language anyway. English is the future. We must all seppuku English you. Okay. Oh, he's trying to speak English. Okay. Alright. I wonder if the prosecution will feel that way forever, or only in the presence of a beautiful woman, Well, that beautiful woman is telling a blatant lies with a complete straight face. I have to find something that will unravel her testimony, no matter how seemingly insignificant it may be. Anyway, it seems that after the argument, the accused briefly returned to his own seat. That part ties in with what you said, doesn't it? Yes, I still had some coffee to drink. And the next time you got up after that was when I'd finished my coffee and stood up to leave. Alright. Then not long afterwards, the accused took the professor's gun and shot him before my eyes. Yes. Like I said, I did not shoot that gun. And like I said, there's no point in repeating that assertion over and over. Well, I wasn't expecting to be attacked by my own side. Nevertheless, defendant, you can't deny that when the shot rang out in the restaurant, you had a gun in your hand. Well, yes, that's true, but all I did was pick up the gun I saw on the floor next to the professor as I was leaving the restaurant. In fact, yes, there was someone much closer to the victim than me at that time. The highly suspicious lady in the stand. Oh, he's not going to have any. That will do, you dirty, rotten scoundrel. Dirty? Your baseless accusations could very well cause an international incident, boy. It seems to me that your accusation is just as baseless as ours. Just... what nonsense. The lady is merely stating what she saw. And this is already an international incident as far as I'm concerned, anyway. Alright. And now for the... I don't carry a gun myself, so obviously I couldn't have been the culprit. Yes. It's all very well saying that, but can you prove it? Absolutely. I verified it personally. You verified it? Yes. Immediately after the incident, I checked to make sure the lady was not carrying a weapon. I distinctly remember her saying, "I'm not." That's all you did? You just asked her? Surely you carried out a physical search, Inspector. You don't do that to a lady. No. He would have been embarrassed to do that, obviously. Why on earth not? The Honorable English gentlewoman clearly stated that she did not possess a weapon. There was obviously no need for any further probing into the matter. Or... there was no permission given for any further probing into the matter, perhaps. Think what you will. But if you're going to continue with this preposterous claim that the refined lady was concealing a firearm, the prosecution demands that you support your assertion with facts. In other words, he wants evidence. We can't actually understand her. The lady wishes to point out that, of course, she wanted to stay and assist with the investigation. But she was in a hurry to give a presentation at the university, so she was compelled to leave. Not to mention the fact that your office had told you to get the woman out of there. Not get her out of there. I just urged her to leave. The lady would like to point out that she is in no way meant to run away from the scene of the crime. Which is why she was only too happy to cooperate and testify here in court today, of course. Unlike a certain student who refuses to admit when the game is up. You can at least have the courtesy to pay attention when I'm goading you. Alright, so she's maintaining that you got into an argument with the professor, at the end of which you shot him. Which is out and totally unfounded lie. Still, her statement is very compelling. After all, she is an elegant, refined, young, and beautiful gentlewoman from Great Britain. Absolutely, a beautiful woman. In stark contrast to you, dressed from head to toe in a dull black school uniform. I'm dressed exactly the same as you are, except for the flapping red ribbons. Well, anyway, this is our only chance to expose her testimony as a fiction that it is. If we can't do that, the trial's over. Alright. Even with you and with your thick skin must be able to feel the murderous look you're getting from around the room. Only too well, I feel half dead already. And the fact that I can't see a single inconsistency in her testimony isn't making me feel any better either. The first thing to do is press her on any of her statements that seem even slightly off to you. Do that, and an opening will present itself. I promise you. Well, we already know where the opening is. I need to expose the true fact of this exotic foreigner that's hiding behind the mask. That's what I should be aiming for in this cross-examination. Okay, so... Okay, I know where this inconsistency is. Which is that there's only one glass at the table. So let's present that. Yes! Yeah, there we go. That's it! Let me just confirm something, please. It's to do with this photographic print. Just a short while ago, you spoke of this print showing the victim's table at the crime scene. That it was exactly what was left. That is correct, the lady says. Well, it's odd. Very odd. Dear me, what's odd is the defense's inability to express itself. To be fair, he's new at this. He hasn't done this before. Ryunosuke, what is it about the print that looks odd to you? Well, obviously, it's the cheers. The cheers? Miss Brett told us that she and the professor said cheers over a glass of water. But if that's true, there should be 2 glasses on the table, not 1. Ah! You're quite right, Counsel. There's only 1 glass pitcher here. Are we supposed to be impressed by this nitpicking over minutia? What possible difference does the presence or absence of a glass make on the case? Alright. Minutia, you say? Could it be that the detective here removed a glass from the table to conceal the lady's presence? Of course not. I would never do something so reckless. But there should have been 2 glasses on the table. Or are you going to try and tell me you can clink with only 1? You're quite right. I certainly took 2 glasses to the table. So where the hell's the other one? Alright. Inspector, what did the lady say? It would seem that it was Miss Brett who took the glass from the table. What? It was also terrifying, everything that happened. I panicked and thought I should try to hide the fact that I'd been there at all, she's saying. Good gracious. Sorry. Okay. She's only speaking in simple sentences so far. There, as I assured the court before, this is of no consequence at all. Oh, please. We must remember that this student has just murdered the lady's luncheon companion before her very eyes. Who could blame her for concealing a glass or 2 in that state of disarray? That's absurd. Oh, really? So, do we take it that you are now going to accuse this vulnerable young woman, beautiful woman of mischief? What? No, no, no. This can't be put down to mischief. I'd like to know exactly how the lady took the glass from the scene. It would seem that she slipped it into a small handbag she was carrying. A handbag, you say? Ooh, but that means that she could have hidden a gun in her handbag. So, the beautiful lady has very graciously explained how and why she removed the glass from the scene now. However, the fact remains that the glass has no bearing on the case. This student has been trying to confuse the court with logical reasoning, but in the end, it comes to nothing. No more pretentious accusations. You have wasted enough time already. Indeed, the lady has offered a satisfactory explanation as to why she removed the glass. I think henceforth we should consider the matter to have no bearing on the case. Counsel for the defense, are you in agreement? Well, I don't know, really. If you want to pursue this matter further, you're going to need to show it has some deeper significance. Yes, you're right. So, she took the glass away in her handbag. If there's a deeper significance there, it's the handbag! Wait, the lady put the glass in her handbag, you say? Yes, do try to keep up. It's already been explained to the court that all English gentlewomen carry handbags for small items. Let me see. A little while ago, Miss Brett stated the following. There are no pockets in my outfit. I have nowhere to hide a gun. But, what she forgot to mention was her handbag, in which she were perfectly possible to conceal a gun. You're right. Well done, partner. I had a feeling you'd pick up on that too. What are you insinuating, you vile blackguard? It's really very simple. The gunshot was heard when the defendant picked up the gun from the restaurant floor. As he didn't fire that gun, we can deduce there must have been another firearm at the scene. The true murder weapon, if you will. Yeah, that's a good point. You can't seriously be suggesting... also, it's still not... Okay. Yeah, we are suggesting. Inspector Hosonaga? Yes? Did you or did you not search Miss Jazeel Brett's handbag on the day of the murder? No, sir. I did not. As I thought. In other words, another gun, the one that was actually used to kill the professor, could have been hidden in Miss Brett's handbag. No! That's a good argument. Especially since we don't know where the handbag is right now. Order, order, order. What is the meaning of this, Inspector? The meaning of what, Prosecutor Alchi? Why on earth did you not have the lady open her handbag and show you the contents at the time? Thanks to your bumbling incompetence, now she has to endure these uncoverable accusations. Brilliant work, partner. Now we have a chance to expose the real woman behind the mask. Do you think so, Kazuma? Ahem. Okay. Well, what a sorry situation. Clearly you have no faith in the police. Uh-oh. As I said, I did not search the lady's handbag after the shooting. Simply because it was unnecessary. Unnecessary in what way? I ought to thank the student lawyer, really. I have a piece of evidence here that I have completely forgotten about. This photographic print. Oh. She left her handbag. The print of a photograph that I thought would be prudent to take immediately after the shooting. As you can see, it clearly shows Miss Brett's handbag. Well, I never. You can see right through that to what's inside. Okay, that's why it wasn't necessary. That's right. Apparently, meshwork bags like these are the height of fashion in London at the moment. So the contents are clearly visible. In other words, she couldn't have hid a gun in there. Exactly. So there was no need to search the lady's handbag. If there had been a gun inside, it would have been immediately obvious. Ah. Well, that kind of, as you can see, there's nothing to imply Miss Brett's guilt here. Thank you for helping to prove that, Naruhodo-san. Ow. He's dead. He's just dead. Order, order! Inspector Hosonaga, you will submit that print as evidence at once. Certainly, Your Excellency. The photograph of the handbag has been entered into the court record. Alright, well, we need to reanalyze that. I think you've had long enough to cross-examine the witness, counsel. Hold on. Court record. Let's look at this picture real fast. What's in... Okay, so there's the glass. Okay, so that doesn't help me. The court has now been shown considerable evidence. As the photograph print just submitted to the court record appears to have no further significance, I am satisfied there are no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling. Indeed, and there is only one logical conclusion. That the pathetic rookie slumped over the bench before us is the only possible perpetrator of this crime. No. Just when I thought I was beginning to turn things around, I'm in a worse situation than I was at the start. Kazuma? I'm sorry, Rinosuke. Now that the cross-examination of the witness is over, there's no way to force the trial to continue. What? You mean this is it? Just 'cause, I must say, you put up quite a fight for a rookie student, but the weak are meat and while the strong eat. You're wasting your time. There's no way to defeat true justice. Yes, there is. A fact you can chew on to your heart's content, inside your own cell. This can't be happening. Am I really going to be found guilty of a crime I didn't commit? And Kazuma. His dreams of going to study in Great Britain will slip through his fingers. Kazuma. What? Is there really no chance now of turning this trial around? You heard the judge. There's nothing about that last photograph the detective produced that we can't contest, which means there's no basis on which we can argue for the trial to continue. Very well. I will now proceed immediately to the ruling. It seems we will be able to report to the British government on time after all. That smug little... Rinosuke Naruhodo, having considered all of the evidence placed before me, I hereby find you... Oh. Wait! Your Excellency. Rinosuke. I don't think you can rule out this case yet. This amateurishness is getting tedious. When His Excellency deems that the trial is over, he gives his ruling. That is the most basic protocol of the courtroom. Yes. Your Excellency, just a moment ago you said this. As the photograph print just submitted appears to have no further significance, there is no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling. Now, that means if there was a problem with the evidence, some significant detail, I mean, then ruling on the case at this time would be out of the question. This is blatant straw clutching. Look at this photographic print. All it shows is the handbag of the gentleman was carrying on the day in question. There can be no problem with this evidence. You better know what you're doing, Rinosuke. I understand your objection, counsel. Certainly, the new evidence submitted by the detective has not undergone a court's scrutiny. However, I fail to see how we can glean any new information from the handbag. Ha! My thoughts exactly. Really, the prosecution is becoming tired of this rookie's desperate wheezes. Yes, I am desperate, but this isn't a wheeze. There's something about this photograph which just doesn't seem right. If only I could put my finger on it. Very well. I will grant the defense one final opportunity. Alright. What? But be warned that if I'm unsatisfied by your response here, the trial will be over with immediate effect. Do I make myself clear? Yes, sir. Yes, Your Excellency. Alright, so, take another look at the photographic print Inspector Hosonaga submitted before. Alright, you will identify for the court where in this print we see the significant detail in which you have alluded. Alright. Well, there's this thing. You're dying for a court where this print we see significant detail to which you have alluded. There's a strange tattoo on his arm. Obviously not in there, not the handbag, but I noticed this tattoo, so... This?
Yes.
Look at this, here. There's a very unusual mark on the victim's wrist. That's true. It looks almost like a burn of some description.
Objection!
Dear me, I was pondering what new piffle you would come out with. A burn, you say? On the victim's wrist? Clearly that has nothing whatsoever to do with the magnificent lady's handbag. Yes, that is a burn mark, you're right. Go on, Inspector. The police coroner also noticed it when he was performing the post-mortem examination. It was deemed unrelated to the cause of death, so he didn't notice it noted in his report. What did I tell you? In any case, we have no idea where the victim suffered this burn, do we? And no possible way of knowing either. But it's very... The more I look at it, the more I find myself intrigued by the curious shape of this mark. However, as Prosecutor Ashi points out, unless a firm connection to the case can be shown, I cannot allow any further time to be spent on the precise details of this burn. Alright. Well, she's going to be talking. Excuse me, Your Excellency? It would seem Ms. Brett has a lunch appointment with the Dean and other university staff. She would like to know if she may be excused from the stand now. Oh, of course, dear lady. We shan't hold you up any longer. I'm quite sure His Excellency is about to give his final ruling anyway. What's your thinking on this, Ryunosuke? Do you believe this burn does have something to do with the case? She had an interesting reaction, so I'm going to say yes. To be honest, I'm not really sure. But if I don't keep pushing, then it's all over. So I was thinking I should keep digging and digging, in the hope that I might uncover something useful. Yes, you're right. I am? If we can just link that burn to the case, if we can do that, we might be able to prise this shutting door back open again. Just give up, Counsel. You can't possibly hope to do that. Indeed. I'm afraid that without evidence, I can't allow you to pursue what's a little more conjecture. But if we had evidence that is irrefutably linked to the burn on the victim's wrist of the case, then you would allow it? I would, yes. To tell the truth, I hadn't noticed the burn. But as soon as you pointed it out, what I did notice was the color draining from Miss Brett's face. Really? If I have to find some link between that burn and the case. This is the moment of truth. It's time to find some evidence that proves what the burn really means. So then, the defense will now present its evidence to the court. The evidence that demonstrates an irrestrictable connection between the victim's burn and this trial. Alright, let's examine these a little bit. Examine? Okay. Examine? Okay, so we need to figure out how this is connected. Examine. So why does the victim have a burn on him? Ah! There it is. I figured it out. I figured out the connection. Present. There's a strange mark on this thing. So, there's this, and it's in the exact shape of the burn. Press.
Yes.
What's this, Counsel? Yet another print? Yes, Your Excellency. I believe photographic prints are an amazing invention. When we humans look at the scene, we miss things. Right. But in a photograph, things we may have overlooked at the time are recorded forevermore. Do hurry up, Rookie. What are you trying to say? To inconvenience that poor lady any further would really be quite inexcusable. Actually, we may need you to stay with us a little longer if you don't mind, Miss Brett. You see, it's very clearly visible that in this other photograph. How did the victim come to have this unusually shaped burn on his wrist? The reason is recorded here forevermore. What? How? Alright. You can't fool me with your little bluffs, boy. If that's your game, then let's see how it plays out. Show the court exactly what you mean. What is it in this photograph that explains the reason for the victim's burn? Well, this thing. Okay, present. The beefsteak. Actually, the point is the metal plate on the steak was served on. The plates? Ah! Your Excellency, are you alright? As you can see, there's an emblem on the plate. I would guess it's some sort of trademark of La Carnival. Ah! This emblem on the plate and the victim's burn are exactly the same shape. Ah! Ryunosuke, you're genius. You're spot on. Which means the victim must have suffered this burn while he was present at the restaurant. This is getting interesting. But even if that is the case, we can't know if it happened the day in question or not. If it could have been the day before or the day before that. It most likely happened some other unrelated time. Well, He's got a... Objection! Sadly, Prosecutor Ouchie, the chances of that are extremely slim. Thanks. Why? The outline of the burn is clearly discernible. Such a serious injury would have caused quite a commotion in the restaurant. Wouldn't you agree, Inspector Hosonaga? I can't imagine having missed such a terrible disaster, certainly. But... I would say, looking at the picture of the wound, that it wasn't suffered for very long ago. And although it's not a particularly large burn, it's extremely well defined, as the defense just pointed out. This was no mild burn, that's for sure. Can you be more specific, Inspector? Well, let's see. If the plate was at around 90 degrees centigrade, a burn like that would have taken around 3 seconds. It's inconceivable that the victim wouldn't have let out a scream of pain then. I've been investigating at the restaurant for several weeks already, but I've not heard anyone scream at all. As the head waiter of La Carnival, I can testify to that without hesitation. But you're a detective, not a waiter! Yes! There you have it, something isn't right here. As the detective said, anyone who's burnt themselves on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds would scream in pain. There's no question of that. And yet Inspector Hosonaga never heard the professor scream. Not on that day or any before it. That's right. And the strange thing is, on the day he was shot, I didn't hear him cry out either. What are you suggesting? Well, if the professor had carelessly laid his wrist on the plate for anything like 3 seconds that day, that would be beyond careless, I think, Counsel. Then the rest of us in the restaurant, myself, the sergeant, and the old antiques dealer, all of us would have, without a question, have heard him scream. Wouldn't you agree, Professor Ouchie? Prosecutor Ouchie. Well, yes, I suppose. So, the question is, why didn't a single person hear Dr. Wilson scream? I almost don't believe it. Ryunosuke, do you think... Can it really be true? I never dreamt we'd arrive at a conclusion like this, but... I'm starting to think that maybe... We've been led into a terrible trap. There's only one explanation I can think of to make sense of this apparent impossibility. On the day in question, when he suffered the burn on his wrist, Dr. Wilson, was already deceased. No man could remain silent while his wrist was burning on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds. That's clearly impossible. Apart from in one particular situation. Consul? Are you suggesting... Yes, it's only possible if the man were already dead. Already dead? Alright, that makes a bit of sense. Knowing what we know now, it's the only possible explanation. When the beefsteak was brought to Dr. Wilson's table that day, the professor was already dead. That's madness! Alright, we're getting to the heart of this case, though. This is going well. Order, please. Counsel, explain this absurd notion at once. The victim was killed by a gunshot. That's right. That's absolutely right, Your Excellency. This is just another ridiculous ploy by the rookie student, but clearly he has no grasp of the facts. Objection! No, Prosecutor Alchi. It is you who has no grasp of the facts. I beg your pardon? As soon as it became apparent that the victim had suffered that burn while at the restaurant, this whole case was turned upside down. Or have you not grasped that yet? Your Excellency, the court must hear from this witness again. If it's true, as we now believe, the victim was already dead before the gunshot was heard. It's highly unlikely that Elizabeth Brett knows something from it. Okay. Alright, so she knows something. Incredible! I certainly didn't anticipate this twist of events. I'm sorry to say, Miss Brett, that you will have to forget your luncheon engagement. But, Your Excellency! The justice system in our country may be in its infancy, but the rest assured, all reasonable doubt must be dispelled before I'm prepared to pass judgment. Thank you, Your Excellency. I can't imagine this is going to go well. And she's still smiling. What was that smile? Yes, of course. I mean, I'd be delighted to help. Especially if it helps relations between my country and yours. And now she's suddenly speaking Japanese! Ah, Miss Brett, you speak Japanese? Of course, she's a foreign student. She would have to know Japanese in order to come over here. Well, of course I do. I am staying in your country after all. But then, why have you been speaking through an interpreter until now? My mother tongue, the Queen's English, is the most refined and elegant language in the world. As a gentlewoman, I try to avoid speaking your vulgar tones as much as possible. So, she's racist. But it seems the men in this land possess none of the chivalrous virtues of English gentlemen. So I can see that I shall have to lower myself to communicating with you all on your own level. Oh, well... You are the epitome of a true English gentlewoman. We are truly honored by this lavish consideration on you can so graciously afford us. I see. In that case, Miss Brett, I will now ask you to testify in your own words about the events leading up to the deaths of the victim, Dr. Wilson. Okay, so we're finally going to hear her own words on the matter. Things are getting interesting, Ryunosuke. Absolutely, they're getting interesting. Alright, the victim's death, though. Let's figure this out. Unfortunately, I have no idea when the poor man burnt his wrist like that. When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in a toast. As far as I've heard, the post-mortem report shows no other possible cause of death beside the gunshot. If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please, do show me. But of course, this country's inferior investigative techniques probably wouldn't pick up on it anyway. Wow, very racist. Okay. That most captivating and beautiful testimony will go down in the Supreme Court's history. Thank you. Easy does it. I hope that this is the last time I will have to sully my lips with the coarse tones of your unbecoming language. Oh. Forgive me. I do hope I haven't insulted anyone. You've insulted everyone. Not at all, not at all. Is it like merely to hear you speak, dear lady? And it seems very clear from your testimony that this boorish talk of the victim's burn is utterly irrelevant. I will be speaking to your country's Minister of Justice about what has happened here today. The Minister of Justice? May that irritating little bully of a student be given the harshest punishment possible. Amen. Huh? Thanks? Was that a prayer then? Well, you'll have to forgive the irritation, Miss Brett, and put up with the cross-examination now. I expect you've noticed that this little bully of a student, as you put it, doesn't miss much. Okay, let's see. I'm sure I don't need to remind you, counsel, that this will be your final cross-examination in this trial. If you fail to demonstrate any problems with this witness testimony, I'll be sent to jail, right? Yeah, I'll be ruling. Yeah, I have to figure this out. I'll be ruling on the case immediately. Is that clear? Yes. No, that's okay. Okay, let's do this. All right. That was. Yes, Your Excellency. Then you may proceed with the cross-examination. All right, he seems to have. All right, the victim's death. All right. Unfortunately, I had no idea when the poor man's burned his wrist like that. But his hands were on the searing hot plate for at least 3 whole seconds. You can't not have noticed. Do you think so? Let me ask you something. Sorry? Ever since I arrived at this courtroom, and even still now, the fly on those unsightly black trousers of yours has been wide open. You can't not have noticed, can you? Huh? What? Ah! Ha! What fun! You hadn't realized. The lady is absolutely right. As your friend, you've embarrassed me as well as yourself, Ryunosuke. Why didn't you tell me? Dr. Wilson was a true English gentleman. He chose honorable silence over a vulgar scream. Can your tiny brain imagine such thing? Oh yes, I think my tiny brain can. Yes. Well, I can't. Anyway. When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in a toast. Yes! As you testified before, you were drinking carbonated water, is that right? Dr. Wilson was only permitted to drink water at that time, if you remember. Which explains why he ordered that drink. Correct, waiter? Exactly as you say, sir. Although... although... Whether or not the professor actually drank any of the water when I delivered the steak to the table... I'm afraid I don't remember that. Damn you. I have enough English to understand that, at least. For the benefit of others in the court, it means bless you. I think it means the exact opposite. Anyway. As far as I've heard, the post-mortem report shows no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot. Yes! Yes, it is written in here in the paperwork. Fatal hemorrhage from ballistic trauma. Yes. Luckily for all of us, a little burn on the wrist isn't going to kill us. And as there was no other sign of trauma on the victim's body to indicate some other cause of death, it can only have been the bullet from your gun to put an end to this innocent man's life. But it doesn't make sense. The burn mark must have happened straight away, when the plate was first brought to the table by the waiter. Yes, that's true. If it had cooled even slightly, it wouldn't have been able to make a burn like that. And if the victim's burned his wrist on the hot plate as soon as it was brought out of the kitchen, then it must have already been dead at that point. And yet, the fact is that the victim was killed by a gunshot to the chest. Until you're able to show the court evidence to disprove that, this is a completely waste of time. He's got a point. I concur. Prosecutor Achi is right. Okay. If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me. Yes! Alright, without leaving a trace. if someone is shot, or strangled, or stabbed, or thrown from a height. However a person's life is taken, there are always telltale traces on the body. Quite right, dear lady. And as our police force has thoroughly examined the body of the deceased, there can be no doubt. Isn't that right, Inspector Hosonaga? As I've said, I always aim for a flawless investigation. Alright. There would be a physical traces with all those causes of death, that's true. But maybe there's some other way of killing someone that doesn't leave a mark. That's also possible. I mean, this is 18th, late 18th, this is early 18th century. Or not, no, 20th century? This would be very early, this would be the early 1900s. So, obviously their medical knowledge wouldn't be as robust. So obviously, and also we know that Jeziel Brett was a chemicals major, right? Options? Would that be in a court record? Is it her people? A British exchange student is studying medical. Yeah, she's a she's in a medical institute, medical person, so she would know. If, heaven forbid, you doubt me, young man, you're going to have to tell everyone how exactly you think the professor did lose his life. Otherwise, I'm afraid your argument falls rather flat, doesn't it? Well, oh no, Persithon, calling such a sweet young lady's innocence into question? On my honor, I, Takatsuchi, will cut down any who dare to cast aspersions. A way of killing someone that leaves no trace. We need some evidence to back us up here. Yes, evidence. Well? But of course, this country's inferior investigative techniques probably wouldn't pick up on it anyway. Racist. Inferior? What do you mean by that? In the lands of the Great British Empire, the police store everything found at the crime scene for a later examination. But in this country, you investigate once and that's the end of it. Isn't that so? Quite right. La Carnival is open for business as usual today, just days after the incident. Exactly, which means that even if the investigation takes a different direction, vital evidence may be lost. Hello? It doesn't even occur that your native detectives try to preserve the crime scene. I'm trying to be as tactful about this as I can. Understand? Aha! Killer blow! The lady is a formula, she is beautiful. Amazing. He's actually admitting our police may be flawed. Perhaps Prosecutor Aochi is finally starting to see sense. I very much doubt that. Still, there's something about what Miss Brett just said. There was a moment before when something didn't seem quite right. What do you think, Rinosuke? I think it's going terribly. No matter how much I press her, I'm not turning up any new information. Yes, as I suspected. She's a tough witness. We need to find a way to break her testimony, and or the cross-examination will be over. But that would mean I have to find a way. There must be some clue that will help us think a clink in our armor. Kazuma? What, Rinosuke? There is one thing I noticed. Something that's been bothering me. Bothering you? You mean about Miss Brett? Actually, no. Oh, is this about the person standing next to her? Inspector Hosonaga. The detective. Yes, he seemed to react a little strangely to Miss Brett's last statement. I was wondering if it might be significant. If I might present an opening, maybe. Okay, so that's the benefit of drilling multiple witnesses at once. Alright, I have an idea. Try pressing her on that last statement once more time. If you think so, but this time, instead of targeting the woman herself, let's see what we can get out of the detective. Alright then. I wonder what Kazuma's thinking. I'll find out soon enough, I suppose. Once I press Miss Brett on her last statement again. Alright. Okay. Well, press. Okay. Okay, so we press him on the... So we have to press him.
Wait.
Oh, I see. Yes, there it is again. The detective's reaction is just the same as before. Why? Up until now, the detective has been in the stand with Miss Brett as her interpreter. But things are very different now. For this testimony, the detective is just listening to what the Englishwoman has to say. The court, this could be a golden opportunity. What do you mean? When people are actually testifying, they're usually very careful not to let anything slip. Okay. However, when they're listening to someone else speak, you'll find they often let their guard down. You're right. Look at him. He's lost in his own thoughts. If it's time to pursue the man in his train of thought. Sorry? Pursue? I'll explain how to do it now, Ryosuke. It's all to do with the witness marker. What marker? At the moment, we focus on Miss Brett, whose person actually making the current statement. Oh, I see. We can slide between them, but by moving the marker left and right with plus and minus, you can turn their attention to the others in the people in the stand. While you're looking at the other witnesses, you'll be able to pursue them with A. If you can catch the person just at the right time, you might uncover some new information to pursue. Alright. If you ever notice a strange atmosphere amongst the people on the stand, take a good look around. Alright then, so first I should move the marker across with okay. Then pursue him with A and see what's on his mind. Here we go. Okay, exactly, which means that...
Wait.
Okay, there we go. Alright. Okay, pursue. Yeah! What the? What's the meaning of this? He's coughing. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to shock you. He really was lost in his thoughts. Deeply. It looks like you were thinking something just now, Inspector. Perhaps having heard what the ladies next to you had to say? If there's something you'd like to say, please, share with the court. What is the meaning of this? It's the delightful Englishwoman who's testifying at the moment. If you can't find fault with her testimony, then the cross-examination should be over immediately. Oh, is that how it works? Absolutely not. The detective is still in the stand, which makes him a valid witness. Fair point. Yes, not to mention the fact that he's intimately involved in the case. He's got a point. Inspector Hosonaga? Yes? Do you have something to add in relation to the statement just made by Miss Brett? Okay, let's see what he has to say. Well, yes, if you don't mind. I would like to speak. She's not going to be very happy with me, but that's okay. She's a bitch. The lady is right. Our country's police practices are not as modern as those used in Great Britain. Which is why I, Satoru Hosonaga, always try to make every investigation I'm involved in flawless. What do you really mean by that? I'll tell you what I mean. I won't have evidence lacking on my watch. I'm not afraid to take everything I can from the scene of the crime. It's preserving evidence, you see. I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief. I'm not ashamed of what I've done. Ahem. Okay, he's coughing again. A crime scene thief? Well, it looks like the lady's remarks touched a nerve there. Take this, for example. Is that? This is the bottle of carbonated water I took to the victim's table on the day in question. And yes, it's lost all of its fizz, having been opened 3 days ago. But it was carbonated water. I don't care what anyone says. Yes, there's some left in the bottle. I can see it. One day our police force was among its best in the world. But the time is coming. I guarantee it. Ahem. Actually, no you won't, because in a couple of years you'll have Gumshoe on the force and he kinda sucks. I can't say I condone the witness's actions, but I do understand the sentiment. The court will accept the glass bottle of water as evidence. The carbonated water has been added to the court record, which means we can cross-examine it now. Miss Brett? Can you confirm that this is indeed the bottle from which you drank on the day of the victim's death? Yes, it was that bottle. What was that about? She seemed to avert her eyes when she answered the judge's question. Very well. Counsel, you may resume the cross-examination. And the inspector will kindly control his fervor. Ahem. Okay. So now that we have evidence, I'm actually going to examine this. So this carbonated water is the last drink Dr. Wilson ever had. It looks like there's a little left in the bottle, although it's just plain water now. You know, I've been sweating so much, I'm absolutely parched. I'll just have a sip of this to keep me going. No, Renosier, you can't do that. For one thing, that's evidence. You can't go drinking evidence. Oh no, you're right. We don't know what might be inside, do we? You never cease to amaze me, Renosier, in more ways than one. Ah, I wonder. Could there be anything in this water? What's the matter? You've gone quiet all of a sudden. I think I might have just worked something out. An interesting possibility. Alright, and what was in here? The label is written in a foreign language that I don't recognize. Do you know what it says, Kazuma? I think it's French. This must be very expensive water. Yes, but what does it say? That's what I was asking. Then go to France and ask. You could just say that you don't know. Okay. So this carbonated water is drink. Okay. Okay. Okay, well that helps to solve our solution a little bit. I wonder what happens if we turn it upside down. Okay, so there's something in there. Okay, so I wonder if I present the bottle. Let's try present the bottle, because the bottle is the only other piece of evidence I have, and that's a possibility that I can present.
Yes.
Okay, that does it. What is this? The bottle of water? Actually, there's one method of killing a man without leaving a trace that comes to mind. Obviously, I'm referring to poison. Poison? On the day of his death, we know that Dr. Wilson drank from this bottle of carbonated water. Could it be that there was poison inside? Could it be that the professor actually died after taking a sip from his glass? That's a possibility. Let's check my phone again, because no. Order! And on that day, who was sitting at the same table as the professor and able to slip the poison into his drink? There's only one person who could possibly have done it. Jesse L. Brett. It was you! This is outrageous. I suggest such a thing without a scrap of evidence. You little rookie imbecile, have you even considered the delicate situation our country finds itself in now? Have you forgotten that we only have just signed an accord of friendship with the British Empire? Have you even the vaguest inkling that your rash accusation could jeopardize the entire treaty?
Objection.
This is not a political arena. This is a trial to determine one individual's guilt with respect to one crime. Well, the fact that this woman is British makes no difference. We are here to determine the truth. Ahem. If I may, I will silence you forever for this disgraceful attack on the Oh. She has her own. It is you who should be silent. Of course. Dear lady. Where did that come from? She just snapped. I'm afraid I may have spoken unfairly before. I offer my most humble apologies. I'm sorry, my lady. To what are you referring? I described your police force as inferior. But no matter how inferior they may be, you still investigated this particular point thoroughly, I believe. The bottle, I mean, Inspector. And whether it contained poison or not? Of course. You did? Have you forgotten what my guiding principle is already? I strive for a flawless investigation every time. I don't believe it. Naturally, we tested the inside of the bottle and its contents. And? What did you find, Inspector? I order tests for every toxin that's available in this country at the present time. You can find no trace of poison of any description in the bottle of carbonated water, Your Excellency. What? Are you sure? The tests were meticulously carried out by the chief coroner himself. No. No! And he's dead. I'm very grateful to all you Japanese. You've successfully established my complete innocence in this horrid affair. Thank you. But of course, dear lady, the pressure was all ours. I was so sure. This can't be right. Everything falls into place if he was poisoned. Thank you, counsel. I think that cross-examination has clarified everything. As the prosecution has asserted, a shot to the chest from this gun is the only conceivable cause of death. Furthermore, the accused, who is by his own admission was holding this weapon, is the only possible culprit. I'm done for. The court wishes to apologize for the great inconvenience this has caused you, Miss Brett. Oh no, I'm just glad the matter is resolved. Before we proceed the proceeding, I must ask the counsel of defense. Do you have any further new evidence to present to the court at this point? Kazuma? I'm sorry, Ryunosuke. I have nothing more. Well, if you'll excuse me now, I really must be leaving. Well, that's unfortunate. Oh, hello! Hello, friend. Please, wait. Isn't that... What is the meaning of this? Forgive me for intruding on court proceedings, Your Excellency. Susato Mikotoba, Judicial Assistant to the Defense. Mikotoba? In my darkest hour, with nowhere left to go, she appeared like a bolt of lightning. And in her hand, she carried a small package, wrapped in furoshiki cloth. Alright, what's in the pack? Oh! Okay. Trial's over then. Alright. Well, I guess that does it for today's episode then. Alright, so... This is getting interesting. So as Ryunosuke and Kazuma said, the entire thing falls into place if he was indeed poisoned. But they tested every poison in the country, and that's not possible. Although she's British, she could have smuggled the poison in. Let's be perfectly honest, that's a possibility. And also, I'm interested to see what Mikotoba has to offer herself. I don't know what her role in the court is going to be, but she went to get something and came back with something important to the case. So obviously something is going to play out. But for right now, I have no idea what it is, so we're just going to have to save here and then continue onward for next time. So, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Please do remember that we will be playing this game every day at 5:30. Well, not every day, but every Wednesday at 5:30 Eastern Standard Time. So, if you guys want to see more of it, remember to tune in then. And also, if you guys do want to help support me, then be sure to check out my Patreon. It's only a couple bucks a month. It does help me out, and you guys get access to a bunch of cool perks. I'm always saying thanks, so be sure to check both of those out in the description below as well. And if you want to support me, check up on what's going on with me. I have a Twitter, and it's the one I most frequently use. So if you guys want to go see that, by all means, go ahead, go check that out. Link is down in the description if you want to keep up to date with what's going on. And also, I have a Twitch. If you guys want to help me help that grow, link is down in the description. You can also find it by going to twitch.tv/ZackMars.Switch. Either way will work. Be sure to go check that out. And finally, if you want to see more content from me, then be sure to check out the videos linked in the end screen. The top video is the most recent video. It may or may not be this one. Whereas the bottom video is the video recommended to you based on what you've already seen from me. So if you want to try something new or see more of what you like, then be sure to check both of those videos out. But regardless of whether or not you do any or all of those things, thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!